This is a story about a man named John Howland. How are you related to John Howland? Well, your grandpa is Keith Kuehn, and his parents were Vernon and Joanne Kuehn, but before Joanne married Vernon, she was Joanne Howland. And so this is a story about one of our Howland ancestors named John. So, your grandpa is Keith Kuehn, and his mother was Joanne Howland, born in 1928. And her father was Albert Lee Howland, born in 1892, and his father was Martin Howland, born in 1851, and his father was Edward Howland, born in 1823, and his father was Reverend Gershom Howland, born in 1776, and his father was also Gershom Howland, born in 1733, and his father was Joshua Howland, born in 1690, and his father was Samuel Howland, born in 1638, and his father was Henry Howland, born in 1604. And Henry was the brother of John Howland. So John Howland was our 9th great-grandpa's brother, or you could say our 10th great-uncle. John and Henry's parents were Henry and Anne Howland. These would be your 10th great-grandparents. We will be discussing John Howland because he was a passenger on the Mayflower. Both Henry and John were born in Finstanton, England. John was born in 1592 and his brother Henry was born in 1604. We don't know much about John before he left England on the Mayflower in 1620, but we do know that John was a servant to a man named John Carver. John Howland was a separatist pilgrim in faith, and John Carver was a deacon for the Pilgrim Church. The Mayflower was full of early pilgrims heading to America for a new life of religious freedom away from the Church of England.
When on September 6, 1620, an aging 180-ton ship called the Mayflower weighed anchor off Plymouth, off the south coast of England, and set out on her own across the North Atlantic. Fewer than 50 of the 102 passengers were adult men, many well past their physical prime. At least 30 were children. By the time they set sail, England had still not succeeded in establishing a truly viable colony on the shores of the New World.
It was extremely cramped conditions on the ship. The passengers had very limited rations and experienced unsanitary living conditions. On the way, one of the passengers and one of the crew members died. The ship encountered many storms during the 66 days it took to cross the Atlantic Ocean.
During a storm, an obscure indentured servant named John Howland is swept overboard and faces almost certain death.
And he is able, when he goes overboard, to grab onto the ropes that are running in the water, and the crew is able to save his life.
John Howland goes on to marry and have children in the New World. His direct descendants include 3 U.S. presidents: Franklin D. Roosevelt, George Herbert Walker Bush, and his son, George W., not to mention Mormon prophet Joseph Smith and Mormon patriarch Brigham Young.
On November 9th, they spotted land, which was Cape Cod, and after exploring the area for a few days, decided to make their new colony in Plymouth. The Pilgrims' first winter in North America proved to be very deadly, and almost half of their numbers perished. John and Catherine Carver, for whom John Howland worked, both survived the winter but passed away in April of 1621. They had no children, and John likely inherited their estate. John became a free man after their death. On the Mayflower was a 13-year-old girl named Elizabeth Tilley. She was born in Bedfordshire, England. Her family was traveling together on the Mayflower. Her parents both died during the first winter, and also her aunt and uncle. It doesn't seem she had any siblings, and as an orphan, the Carver family took her in. After the Carvers passed away in the spring and John inherited their estate, Elizabeth became his ward. In 1623, John and Elizabeth married. John and Elizabeth had 10 children from 1624 to 1649. John was very helpful in the new colony. He became a deputy governor and a surveyor of highways. He also led a team of men that built and operated a fur trading post. Both John and Tilly would have been at the first ever Thanksgiving with the Native Americans who were extremely helpful in helping the Pilgrims survive. John passed away February 23, 1672, at the ripe old age of 80. Elizabeth outlived her husband by 15 years and passed away December 21, 1687. When they were older, they wintered in a house in Plymouth that was owned by their son Jabez.
Another favorite stop of mine down here in Plymouth is the Howland house. What is fantastic about this house is it is the only house in existence where one of the original passengers of the Mayflower actually lived for a time. And that, of course, was John Howland.
John Howland had a children's book written after him, The Boy Who Fell Off the Mayflower. There is a lot more information about your 10th great uncle John Howland available online if you are interested in researching more.